It's a VHS tape. It's like full of YouTubes.
So I just got done watching City of Ghosts.
I wanted to find more ghosts. And I found other friends who are just like me.
Which is a Netflix original series that is a fictionalized version of young children going out into their community and learning its history through the metaphor of ghosts.
My name is Bagel. I'm from Venice. So what's this interview for?
It's for our club. Try to talk to every ghost we meet on the record.
That's awesome. Very cool.
It's interesting to see this on Netflix because it's the first sort of thing that has stuck out to me as definitely being for younger kids. You know, you think Netflix, you think of, things like Inside Job, things that would, definitely play to older audiences. I know that they have a lot of like cartoons and little kid stuff, but that always seemed like not a priority for Netflix. They usually would always like buy something else from some other market that would fill that niche. They're always borrowing from Nickelodeon, or they put My Little Pony on there. What is it? They got like Larva. They pick and choose. So again, it's interesting to see almost like a Sesame Street kind of something like you'd see on PBS back in the 90s. Oh God, remember Ghost Rider? I actually need to revisit that, see if it holds up.
My name is Janet. I'm a Japanese American, and my home is Boyle Heights.
It's sort of like a good version of Ghost Adventures. You would actually, visit interesting places like farms and old military bases and old ships and lighthouses and stuff. And it was actually interesting. And see all that stuff. Of course, it had the caveat of, ooh, it's haunted too.
We have some things we'd love to show you.
Yeah, please, I'm dying.
You're gonna see something walk from the right to the left.
In front of those doors.
Behind.
City of Ghosts is kind of like that, except, like I said, they play it up for theater.
Hey, Zan could drive us there.
Yay!
Wait, what?
Where they meet a ghost, which is an older member of the community, who will discuss with them an important landmark, an important aspect of the neighborhood.
In Venice, skateboarding and surfing. Venice was the mecca back in the day. It was very chaotic. It was extremely volatile, and it was very fun.
And of course, it's all dramatized. You have the people interviewing. You could tell that when they're sort of playing into the shtick, it's like, oh, hello, I'm a ghost. It's never actually morbid. They never go into like, oh, how I died or anything like that. Exploring ghosts is sort of a metaphor for exploring history and exploring society. And they go and hunt these ghosts, which again, like are older. There's 3 tiers. There's the kids who want to learn stuff.
We meet at the library downtown. It's really big, like a castle for books.
Like young adults, middle-aged people, still working, still kind of doing things.
And if the Neko moves, then you know what? I must have moved it, because I'm just a busy bee here. It's fine. It's fine.
And then you've got the ghosts, which are older.
Why do you keep making so much noise?
Well, that's how I got into music, beating on stuff and hearing rhythms and beating on the desk of school when I should actually be doing my work or whatever.
I assume. There's one episode I really enjoy, and I'll be referencing quite a bit. It's about Atomic Nancy, a Japanese citizen who had quite an interesting life. Her father owned a cafe called the Atomic Cafe. She was very much into sort of the new wave movement.
I was bored of being normal, and I wanted to have fun.
She has this sort of almost like little plain Jane daughter that I guess she sort of lives with. But again, that's sort of the 3 layers that you have, the 3 generations sort of interacting with each other in harmony, and not just, like screaming at each other.
especially if she's sneaking on my coffee. She drinks it really fast, and then she gets really hyper.
In a way, it's kind of like the Midnight Gospel, except, well, the Midnight Gospel was way more philosophical. This one is sort of socially philosophical. It's more of like a social studies angle, where the Midnight Gospel was more about interviewing individual people and getting their sort of beliefs. Some of them would get out there, their philosophies on death, their philosophies, and then again, you sort of go further and further into the more metaphysical aspects.
Forgot what the hell we were talking about.
We're talking about the transmission, what's also known as the disciplic succession.
Yes.
This one is almost, again, it's more rooted in community.
What was Lamert like when you lived here?
It was beautiful in the daytime. At night, it was a whole nother life. You know, there's a lot of seedy things going on late at night. It just wasn't good.
So anyway, you can sort of tell when they're playing into the shtick of, oh, I'm a ghost. And there are other times when it totally shifts and they are being absolutely sincere about sharing their history, sharing what happened in their lives, the history of the community, and hopefully, imparting that certain wisdoms to this next generation. The art style is fantastic. It's really charming. There are points where I think it's like mostly photographic backgrounds, although I do think they're altered here and there. And they do have to, at times, create their own assets. It's pretty seamless. The characters are, kind of low poly, but with like a lot of charm to them. Unfortunately, like a lot of corporations have aped this style, but here I think it's just because it's a necessity. You've are juggling so many balls between editing interviews and creating new assets that match like the real world aesthetic, but also you get to play with like unique versions of the ghosts. Like, again, going back to the Atomic Nancy episode, she has this great transformation from when she's like being really bombastic and performative to sort of, she's never shy, but you can tell that she's got two different modes between performative and non-performative.
And I said, well, Dad, how come you call it the Atomic Cafe? Well, it's because nobody forgot about the atomic bomb, so nobody should forget about our food, too.
And as you get further down into the series, you get to see different types of ghosts. Because, of course, if you're going to be talking about, different cultures have different ideas about what ghosts are. Some of them we don't even they're not even considered ghosts. They're more considered spirits or embodiments. There's they talk about Native Americans, and there's this spirit of the land and the spirit of the ancestors, almost as the collective.
Mi hija Jasper, none tai hunuka.
And then you get to the most unique version of a ghost, and it's like, I forget what they actually call it.
You have such a majestic tail.
He says, thank you for the beef.
One of those, it's an animal that's like a cheetah or a fox, and it's all very bright, multiple colors, patterns. It's very beautiful. And this is like a critical race theorist hater's nightmare, because they don't actually sugarcoat anything. Again, going back to my favorite, the Nancy episode, she goes into detail about how she was a Japanese citizen, and she lived in camps for the duration of the war, and how that has affected her pretty much her whole life. And they don't shy away from the fact that Native Americans used to live in this land, and it's being destroyed bit by bit with pollution and global warming.
Those people took and they took until Tovangar was
Achumi-chan. Sick.
And again, I think that's kind of important for little kids to hear. And the best part about it, if it's on Netflix and they think they're just watching a kids show, then they won't know that their kids are being taught at. Kind of like how Sesame Street was, or at least the perception of Sesame Street was during its earlier years. Sesame Street pissed off a lot of right-wingers once they realized, oh wait, they're actually teaching kids about the world and not just kind of waving keys in front of their faces. Unfortunately, this is like the shortest series on Netflix. Like currently only 6 episodes, each one about 20 minutes. And they say that there's going to be another season. On the official website, it says it doesn't say in production, but it doesn't say that it was canceled. So I honestly don't know what's going on with there. The series was created by an Adventure Time writer, which of course it's perfect. Like you think about Adventure Time and you think about all the ways they explored their world, and they created almost like the history of Ooh and what exactly happened. And they explore it in such an innocent way, and they do that here, only with real stuff.
I brought you a microphone so you don't have to talk to your hairbrush. Oh, I like talking to my hairbrush. Here, you can try.
I assume that it does take a while to make. You've got to do the interviews. You got to kind of come up with a little bit of a narrative and somehow tie that in with the interviews. You got little kids doing all the actual voices. And that's, never easy. It's authentic, but it's never easy. So I don't know. I don't know if Netflix was just like, content. We need more content. The only thing I would have to say is that it's very limited. It's limited to California, which is fine. That place has a lot of history. I would almost like to see it done in different places. Like season 1, California, season 2, New York, with maybe like a new group of ghost hunters. But again, if you want to see something that has like a really unique take on the interview format, then definitely check out City of Ghosts. It's wonderful, it's charming, it's informative, and it is just so cozy.